Rhinos stand tall. With every episode, we break down the wall. Through laughter and pain, we share every dream. In this podcast flow, we read the ultimate team. Feel the rhythm of hope, feel the beat of the fight. Together we rise, illuminating mighty Rhinos. Hear our call, through trials and triumphs, we stand tall. In this podcast journey, we find our way. Together united, brighter days that stay.
Welcome back to a Mighty Rhinos podcast.
Welcome everyone to Mighty Rhinos podcast with me, Jordan, obviously as usual. I've got a special guest with me with Ben Sheard joining me tonight. How are we doing, Ben? You all right, mate?
I can't complain. Obviously, disappointing result on Friday, but we live and we learn, and we go on to FC next weekend.
I'm gonna jump straight into the thoughts of the Wakefield game now. How did you think it went about? Because in my opinion, I think Brad Arthur in press conference kind of said everything. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think jet lag's caught up with us. Obviously, having that game last weekend on a Sunday after the travel from that incredible week in Vegas, I think it's just caught up with us this week. And Wakey always play against Leeds like it's a grand final for him. So, both of them marrying up together, and it's just like, I didn't expect us to win. Let's put it that way. And having a Sunday Friday in the fixtures is never fun. But obviously, having a Sunday Friday off the back of a Vegas week kind of caught up with us, didn't it? So
yeah, I mean, I know, like say you know as well. Like say Wakefield always turn up against Leeds. We play my other podcast with other lads I do. I actually backed us to win the game, but I did say it would be a close encounter. I think, like say, with current form, Wakefield haven't been great, and obviously Rhinos have been electric. The Lee Leopards game, I thought we'd do it. I thought we'd do the game. But yeah, what's your thoughts on like the form? Because going into that game, obviously we were red hot favourites, and obviously as you can imagine, and it were really stale. Like it just all of a sudden, I thought we weren't great against Cass. I thought we lacked. I mean, I think we went 25 minutes without a try, and it were only 22-4 in the end. I could see us declining a little bit in Cass game. I don't know what you thought.
for the Cass game, we didn't need to get out of second gear though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I think we're not. The thing with Leeds is we don't punish teams enough. Like obviously we put 50 on KR, but it's a one-off. Like last season, and I know you can't really talk on anything regarding form as of this season so far, right? Because we've played 4 Super League games and 2 Challenge Cup games, like 6 games in total, plus whatever you've had in pre-season. I think we don't punish teams. Like that York game, we punished them, but we punished them professionally, and we showed them how to be a professional outfit. That Rovers game, we punished a team that were hungover, and it was easy. It was easy to see. Cat didn't turn up, but we were tired. You could tell we were tired, and I wasn't expecting us to absolutely batter Cass, but I don't know. I think you've been a bit harsh on them there, with them saying, "Oh, we've not." It was a bit lackluster against Cass. It was always going to be lackluster against Cass. It always was, especially off the week that we had. Like you don't have every week in Vegas, and you don't have every week doing 2 10-hour flights. Like
you're right. Yeah,
like Catalan is 2-hour flight. Same with Toulouse. Like it's not 10 hours is quite a lot in comparison. So as I say, you can't really look at it at this stage. You look at obviously that league game. That's going to be an anomaly on the season because of who we had missing. We obviously had Mike Seavor missing, who's gone on and scoring for fun. Jake Connell was missing in that game. We had a lot of the forwards missing as well. We just had experience missing that game and a lot of kids out. So Lee was an anomaly, but the other 3 games in the league have been nothing short of professional performances.
No, yeah, I agree. I think, like I say, I've seen, obviously the Vegas one. No disrespect to the Rovers, but that could have happened with any team, I suppose, with them being hungover. Obviously, I'm not disregarding us because obviously we were electric in that game. Did a really good spectacle, I'm sure, because you were there. So I'm sure it was a great atmosphere for you.
It wasn't bad.
I can imagine. You want to go that way, all that way. You want to win, don't you? So
of course.
It was fab. I mean, you went, and then Carl from my 2 Yorks for Saint Rugby League podcast, he went as well. So, and he was a Rovers fan. So I've got 2 ends at spectral really. So it's good, but yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. Maybe I am being a bit harsh, but I think I kind of see how Brad Arthur is with them, and I kind of go off that because Brad Arthur is very ruthless, as you know, and he didn't have no excuses for the Wakefield game. They asked him, didn't they, if he took any positives, and he said no, not really. So I think when Sivo scores 2 tries and he carries on his tally, and to not even say that, what were a positive. How much he puts pressure on Rhinos because he knows that we want to be better than that. He knows that, like he says, which I think the reason why I like him so much is he gives it to us. He gives us the options of if we want the game, it's down to us. If we don't want to win, he's almost like saying, well, that's fine with me. I like how he coaches.
Take any positives on. He's done nothing but slate Sivo. Sivo's not fit yet. So he's not.
Weird that. It's weird how anyone can say that though.
Well, he had him at Parramatta. And he had him.
Yeah.
And obviously, you look at the team, and it's a lot. There's been a lot of Parramatta players that have come over under Brad. So he knows what Merky Sivo is at his best. He's not at his best, and that's the thing that I'm licking my lips at. It's like
that's scary, that though.
Yeah, it's a scary stat knowing that he's not at his best. And
it is.
You know what? I don't think there is any positives because we were scrappy. We were defensively poor. We switched off in key moments. I fully agree with him. You can't have the rough without the smooth. You have to take the accountability, and I think he's been a bit harsh on the boys in terms of not taking accountability on his own and saying it's my coach and we need to do this better. But hopefully we'll be back for FC game. Obviously, it's a big turnaround. It's a 9-day turnaround. FC are off the back of a really physical, tough game against Lee. So, both teams are off the back of a cup loss. I think FC is ours for taking, and Brad will want one over on his son. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that'll be entertaining for sure. I think what it is though, and I'm sure you'll agree, is you can lose. You're guaranteed to lose games in Super League, as we know. I think it hurts so much when Challenge Cup is a one-off game, and the fact that we're now not in it, it hurts that much because it's like we've got no excuse now but to go all in Super League, and it might do us the world of good. It might not. Who knows? But I think it's one of those where, I tipped us to win Challenge Cup this season because of how we've been, and my friend in the 2 Yorks for St. Gaz, who's St. Helens fan, he tipped us for Challenge Cup as well. So it's one of them. Obviously, we've come up top trumps, haven't we? We're Wakefield, and that's just end of the day. That's how it is. It's one game, and it's that's kind of what's happened. But it's hard, I think, to switch back on Super League. I think a lot of players, especially these overseas players, do kind of, the Challenge Cup does excite them. And, you know, I don't know how you feel about like Brodie Croft, etc., but like, I don't know if he's extending his stay. And obviously, we've gone quite a lot of years now without any trophies, and I don't see these big players staying if we don't start making strides for trophy, or at least competing for trophies. I don't know how you think, Ben.
Yeah, obviously trophies are a big part of sport and in general, and you know, to be honest, I didn't have us doing well in the Challenge Cup, but we never really do well in the Challenge Cup, especially in my lifetime. And I know this might make you feel old, but I'm only 21, so we've only got 3 Challenge Cups in my life, and that were 14, 15, and 2020. So, you know,
first when you were 14.
Yeah.
2014, yeah.
2014, 2015, 2020. So, you know, there's only 3 Challenge Cups in my life. So, I remember us being more of a Super League side, being more dominant in Super League. But as we alluded to at the start, like, Wakey against Leeds is more of a grand final for Wakey than when Wakey play against Cass. It's a bigger game.
Yeah, I agree.
For Wakey, but Leeds look at Wakey as like, oh, it's just Wakey. Like we will go out and perform against Bradford or against Wigan or against Saints or against Warrington. The teams that bigger game on paper for us, but rugby's not a sport that's played on paper; it's played on grass. So I think the attraction to the overseas players, I don't think it's the Challenge Cup that's the attraction. You know, historically, we haven't been a cup side.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
So, and as I said earlier, in my lifetime, I've seen us win 3 Challenge Cups. So,
finals?
More than that.
More than that.
A lot more than that. Like, obviously, we did the 3 on the bounce 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 15, 17. And then any grand final that we lost, i.e., the one against Saints, there's 9 times that we've been to Old Trafford in my life with 8 wins.
Yeah, I do agree with what you say. We have obviously got a good record with Super League, which is end of the day is the main one, isn't it, I suppose. It's just I think, like I say, I think, you know, especially with me, I remember us winning the Challenge Cup in '99. So I'll have been about 6, I think, at the time. So I remember Yasin Harris, Leo Rivet, Carl Pratt, Francis Cummins. I remember all those players. So there's been a lot of changes since obviously I started watching Leeds. And yeah, we have obviously grown massively, and as fan base has got bigger. I do strongly believe we've probably got the best stadium in the league, and I know that's probably being biased, but I think, you know, I think we've put a lot of money into it and we've reaped benefits from it, and I think we've done really well financially. And I don't know if you do know, but I think Gavin Emron bought it when it were kind of in slums, and he's done well good for us, you know, as titles, etc. And as how successful we've been is from him investing into the team. So he's set the platform for us for sure, for us being, as you know, one of the best financial clubs and, you know, most successful clubs in the last era, 20 years, etc. So that's all good for us. I think what it is I think because we strive so much for greatness, like most teams do, and I think because, you know, we are successful in the terms of the Super League and stuff like that, I think you do have that high expectation, I suppose, of every time a season goes by. You know, like last season when we got beat by Saints, which is still, you know, I would say it hurts still, but, you know, it's that thing. You go out in league, and then you have Christmas, and then you pre-season, then you sign some players, and you're like, oh, he looks good. You know, like Danny Levi, like, oh, he's nippy, played for Huddersfield. I'm excited to see him.
I had question marks over Danny Levi, to be fair, especially with the way he left Huddersfield and what came out in the press. Obviously, what comes out in the press is a lot of hearsay and all that. But the fact that he went home because he was homesick, so why is he coming back to the UK? It's like, question marks over Danny Levi. Obviously, Make Sivo is like having a new signing because, he didn't play at all last season. So,
that's the thing we like say we start again, and then you obviously get to your team, and then comes back. Maker obviously 12, 13 months out injured, and like you say, he's practically a new signing because he played one game, which I do believe was Hanley testimonial.
What he did was actually the most stupid thing ever, because he went out to karate kick Bevan French, because it happened right in front of me in the south stand, and he went,
really?
and he was never going to catch the ball, so he went flying in and did his knee. It's just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, because they played Wigan, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like you say, you have high expectations for your team, like anybody does. But I think whether it's being biased or not, I always have that feeling with Leeds where I always feel like they're a couple of signings short of getting a trophy.
I think what we miss is Jake Connor's backup.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Because look at that league game versus look at Hearts. The partnership of George Brown and Connor works.
Yeah,
so we've got Croft's backup. That's where I think losing Jack Sinfield is. He came and bit us on the arse, didn't he? It's the way it was. He came back, bit us on the bum, and schooled us, really. He was phenomenal.
I'm gonna go into that anyway with Jack. But I did actually comment on something earlier, and when you actually think about it logically, it actually is probably true what I'm saying. Jack would have played that game against Wakefield, and I don't think George Brown would have come out, because I reckon Sinfield would have played that game for us. He'd have played alongside Jake Connor, I think.
I think the thing is, though, with Jack, he's very much his dad's son with the way he plays.
Yeah.
I think with Jake, yes, he can be a maverick, but he's matured into that player that Kev was. When you look at that team in 15, Kev got us up to the opposition 20, and Magsy did the magic inside their 20.
Yeah.
Jake Connor is now the player that gets us up to the 20. It's Brodie Croft or George Brown that does that magic in that. And then you just let your fullback roam free, which is what we did in 15, and which is what we're doing now. So I think it's just having that backup for Jake Connor. I think Friday there were some players that have already left the club mentally that are still here. Not naming any names, but both Newman and McDonald. I think they both had poor games by their standards. And I think, and you know what, I think maybe the hype of them, now that obviously the hype of Vegas has gone down and all that, I think they're almost starting to believe their own hype a bit.
Yeah.
Especially McDonald. Like, I rate him as a player, don't get me wrong. Like, effort 100% every week game usually. But he's always got that mistake in him that I'm skeptical of. And it's the mistake that happens when there's a game on the line because he's trying to do the miracle play.
Yeah.
And, it's the same with Newman. He runs sideways and forces it too much.
Like, he forces a lot of passes, that don't really need to be thrown. And he's always trying to win the game on his own.
Yeah, like there's no iron team.
Stresses me out. Yeah,
no, there's no iron team. And I do think that he's a great player when his head's in it, but because he's known for losing his head, people target that.
He loses his head so easy, doesn't he?
I don't want to put blame on and point my finger, because you know, I'm stood in the south stand, or I'm in the press box, or I'm sat in the north stand, and it's like I'm not the one on the pitch.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
But I don't think. I think don't think that we'll miss Newman. Like I thought we'd miss Reece Martin, and we haven't. I thought we'd miss Sam Lasoni,
Yeah.
and I think we are starting to miss that big, abrasive ball carrying prop. But now that Nick's back, now that we've got Palacio and Jenkins, and Cam Smith isn't having to worry about being captain,
Yeah.
because I think Cam Smith has been a different player this year.
Yeah,
And
I think so as well.
I've been giving him a lot of stick for being slow and not being a bully like the other forwards. But
Yeah.
with him being a Leeds lad and you're giving him 13, you know, I reckon there was a lot riding on that for him.
There will have
And
been,
then,
yeah. There will have been. There will have been.
and also
Especially
13 captain.
everything. Yeah,
A
yeah.
13 captain, like, you know, trying to emulate someone of God's status. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it is. It's like Kev was your captain. He was 13, and Cam Smith was a Leeds lad. Is a Leeds lad.
Mm.
It's just I don't think it was fair on Cam giving him captain and 13 in the same year.
Well, yeah. No, I agree. He's big. Like I say, I remember Stevie Ward got it. You know, and then obviously Callum Watkins got captain banned. I thought when Callum Watkins got captain banned before, I thought that changed his game. There is a lot of pressure, and like I say, I know we're being biased, but there is a lot of pressure on the captain band, and you know, number 7's a big number 2. You know, we could have easily retired the number, couldn't we? And I don't think
I
anyone
think
would
we
have
should
said
have.
anything.
I think we should have retired 7, but I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
think so.
more. I think it's more RFL and Super League saying you can't retire it. I think Hull KR had retired 6 until
Yeah,
Michael,
they did retire 6, yeah, until they
and then
changed it.
so I do think it's been a rule implied from higher up, but you know I think with Cam, he looks like he's playing with a smile on his face again, which is good. Like last season,
I think because he knows he's a squad member.
yeah, I wouldn't have him in in our starting team, not at all.
No.
But I think that team that started is as close to our starting team bar 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
I think with Cam, it's good to see him playing with a smile on his face, 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what I like this year, and I know we did it last year as well, but obviously you can see team lineup here that we played with Wakefield. Obviously I know numbers don't mean anything, but like Keenan Palacio, you know, he's took 13, didn't he, to play loose forward. He's playing prop there, you know. It's one of those. It's, you know, we rotate round, you know, and it works. I mean, I don't know about you, mate, but I think Cooper Jenkins has had an absolute stellar of the season so far. I really do rate that player, and I don't think he got a lot of praise when we signed him. And I actually think he's one of his best signings in the
Yeah.
last few years, to be honest.
I
He's an absolute warrior.
I was wanting a question about Cooper. Me and Bruce are getting on. Okay, like I met him in the pub once, and now we've just struck up a friendship sort of thing. So I was hoping
Cooper?
I was hoping for a question about Brucey. No, Jenko, he's come from a similar position that Jez Metaltier has. He hadn't come from an NRL side. He'd come from an either a Queensland or New South Wales Cup side.
Yeah.
But so he was completely unknown. But yeah, Jenko's been phenomenal. That try against Lee, that second try against Rovers, he's been outstanding. And obviously having no mitt available, he's taken a load of that work. The one thing that I do want to see more of him is minutes on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because he's always that first interchange. And it's like, and look at the team that played against Cass. It were Jenko, Holroyd, and Palacio at loose.
Yeah.
That started. And I think Jenko offers more than Holroyd. And yet he came off and I felt like the game slowed down a lot when it was Holroyd and Holroyd and Cam Smith with Palacio as your other prop. But and then obviously it speeds back up when you bring on Jared O'Connor.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no. I mean, you know, I think when we're talking about like Sam Lasone, I feel like he's taken that role. I'll be honest, and it's, you know, I do feel like when obviously we lost Sam Lasone, I'm looking at the team and I'm going, right, where's this gonna firepower coming? You know, I know we've got Allroyd, you know, we've got Ledsky. I know, you know, Allroyd's quite, you know, still young. Cooper Jenkins, is he going to be a team member when he plays now and again, or is he going to be a big impact player? I know we're obviously haven't really seen much of Matautia, obviously. I know he may be, question mark, maybe a big impact when he starts playing. But I didn't think I'd say it, I'll be honest, but Cooper Jenkins has taken that last Sam Lasone persona, if you want to say.
I'm going to disagree with you there, mate. I don't think he does because obviously he's got the 15 that Lasone had. But
yeah,
Lasone was the player that you'd kick, say you had the goal line dropout and they kicked it long. Lasone was the player that everyone got on their feet for when he just come fresh off the bench. Jenko's starter for me. I think you've got to mould Tom Allroyd or get, because you look at Lasone go into FC, and if FC were fully fit as well, you've got to take into consideration that Lasone's getting a lot of minutes at FC. But FC had, if fully fit, Herman Sasa could do 60 minutes with Lasone doing that 20-minute either stint of either side of half time. I think we're missing that prop that can just not have the no fear, because they've all. I'd hate to play prop. I'm 5'8" and 70 odd kilo. Like, I'm not going to run 100 mile an hour into anyone. But we're missing that player that will just bring up the crowd as well. Because you look at what Lasone did, and he was like a freight train.
Yeah, well, oh yeah.
And with Jenko starting, he's not that Lasone mould. I don't think we've properly filled it. And Jez Metaltia, I think he's going to fill more of a mould that like Sam Walters kind of played at Leeds.
Yeah, yeah.
Where he can play second row.
What I'm trying to say though is like, is what I mean by when I say about Cooper Jenkins is obviously we know how good Sam Lasone was for Leeds. Obviously, I'm not disputing that. Absolutely, you know, steamroller, like you say, absolutely fantastic. But it was criticised not by him personally, but maybe Brad Arthur. But he did play, you know, he didn't play a lot of minutes. And that's kind of what I'm basically trying to explain with Cooper Jenkins is I feel like he's taken that slot of Sam Lasone, but he is an all-round, plays more minutes sort of player. Like I'm still stumped now thinking, why did Sam Lasone only play so many minutes? I would have played more. I'd have played him more if it were up to me.
I think the thing with Samlo was his fitness. He was never fit. He was not fit as in like he couldn't play. His actual cardio wouldn't allow him. I think for the style of player he was, you can't expect him to do big stints because he's not that player.
Yeah, yeah.
I
mean, when we had him, obviously I'm not going to sit here and tell lies or whatever. You know, when he came off the bench, it was 1000%. I agree with you. He's that player that gets off the seat. He's very much got that Palestina when they were at Wigan sort of vibe to him. You know, no one's going to stop him, sort of thing. But I suppose when you've got a player like that, you know, it's an X factor sort of player off the bench, but you do want to know that they're capable of more minutes. Like, and that's the thing with him. That's why I do actually, obviously I know you'll disagree, but I think that's kind of why as a whole, when you look down the team, I feel like we're better without Sam Lasone because
I agree with that. I agree with that. I just don't think that we've got that big presence. Like you look at that team in 15, you knew that even if you started Peacock and Singleton, say, you'd have Cuthbertson or you'd have Lulu off the bench that was going to go and kill someone when they came on. And then you know that when their battery died, that Peacock and Singleton were fully recharged to then also go and kill someone. So I know we look at 15 and it's like, and we compare, as Leeds fans, we'll compare everything to 15, but Rovers fans will compare everything to last year.
Yeah.
Because that was their high. That 15 was our high. And I do think we're just missing that prop that can kill someone in 2 stints. Or can kill someone.
I do feel though that games change a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
15. I mean, I know 15 will have been a big moment for you, as it obviously was for me. But obviously, I've seen Leeds obviously a lot more years down the line. The players we had back then, they were phenomenal. You know, goes without saying. But the game has changed now, and I feel like the props that we had back then. I do actually. I know you probably disagree with me, mate, but I do feel like the player like Peacocks would probably struggle nowadays.
Oh yeah, no, they probably would, because the game's a hell of a lot quicker.
It is a lot quicker. Right, so just jump to this game briefly. Not the game itself, because obviously we spoke about, you know, the fact that Leeds weren't at the races and they're out of the cup, obviously. But obviously, I just want to talk about one man in particular, which obviously I was going to talk about this at the beginning. Is obviously Jack Sinfield. Obviously, we spoke about, you know, the fact that, you know, he's got his dad's name, obviously, as we know. He's absolutely spitting image of his dad. He's got his dad's eyebrows. He's everything about
forehead.
him is his dad. Yeah, he got his forehead. Obviously, he wants to be his own person, which I totally get that, his identity, etc. And he's obviously gone to Wakefield, which I think is fantastic for him to give him a better shot. And I just thought, mate, I thought he was absolutely fantastic in that game. And obviously, he's got man of the match, which down here, he's got the man of the match for the game. He's got the man of the match for me as well. For Mighty Rhinos, I'd give him the man of the match for that game as well. He's something. He is something. I think he's got a bright future, and I don't know what you think, but do you think it can kick on now with Wakefield?
I do. Well, obviously, Darryl Powell is a very good coach, and he's very similar ilk to Brad Arthur. Like, if you play well, you merit on your shirt. Like, but Wakefield do have Mason Lino to come back into that team, so it's like, you know,
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
It's another big name that they've got come back in, which I don't know when he's back. I don't know how long he's out for, but he's a phenomenal player, and he tore us a new one twice last year, which isn't fun. But yeah, you hit it on the head with identity. Like, being at Rhinos with the name Sinfield,
it's always going to catch you, innit?
You're always going to have the spotlight on you. And I think going to Wakey, and the other thing is, he only played reserves games. Like, we don't have that dual registration club. So when he's playing reserves, he's playing against 18-year-olds, and it's boys against men.
Yeah.
If you'd have sent him out on loan to, say, Halifax, Batley, Dewsbury, give him some first team experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would he have been a better player at Leeds? Probably, because he's got that experience. And then when Croft, Connor, Frawley, whoever it was, got injured, you'd have someone to rely on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So, yeah, I think him going to Wakefield is good. But I won't be surprised if he's back in blue and amber soon.
You know?
Because Croft will sign one more year. That's my logic. I think he'll come back.
I think, do you know what? I agree with you to a degree. Like, I think if he did come back, they'd have to give him a starting number, and I think he'd have to play. Like, I don't think you can expect him to come back and play second fiddle again. Like,
no, not at all.
And it's one of those, like, the chip before half time, the kick. I don't know about you, but I literally saw Kevin Sinfield there. That chip that he did.
I saw Mo Maguire at 15. That
Maguire. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing with Jack is Jack's not afraid to attack the line. I think Kev was a bit more conservative with the way he attacked. Like he was like, right, you can have it, do something. But
he saw the pitch, though, did Tim Field, didn't
but Kev would orchestrate it.
Yeah,
and he would put the people through the gap before the gap it even formed.
Yeah, he's visualised it. Yeah.
The thing with Jack is he plays a lot like Maguire, and he will form the gap, and then or he'll have someone bite and give the late pass and put them through. So I actually see more of Maguire with Jack, which is ironic. But no, I do think he's a phenomenal young player, and for 21, he's not bad.
Can you imagine though being Jack's infield? Can you imagine, like, obviously I know he's got his dad over his shoulder, etc., and that, but could you imagine if you just step back a second and just think about like him as a person? Do you imagine the life he must have had? Considering he'll have seen all of the success from his dad. He'll have seen all the marathon runs he did, or all the charity, all that stuff. The thing with Borough, the grand final wins. In it, when you've got someone who's being professional rugby player coming off your dad, he's got the best teacher, hasn't he? When you think about it, the best, theory test, if you want to say, of like looking ahead and going, right, this is what I want to do. Like, I want what my dad's done. Like
same with Law and Dax Jones Buchanan. Yeah, like, you got the Jones Buchanan boys, ones at Leeds, ones at Bradford.
Yeah, two, aren't they? Yeah.
Like, it's the same principle, but I think the way that the game's changed, they can't look too deep into their name.
Yeah.
Jesus, that sounded like a JJB quote, that, with how philosophical that went. But,
I know what you're saying.
It's that principle where you can't, yes, they've got the name, yes, the XYZ, but some people are going to look into that surname. Jack had a lot of pressure being at Leeds.
Yeah, it does,
to be under that surname. But as I say, I do think he'll be back.
Hopefully, mate. I actually hope so. I mean, it's one of those as well. It's not even being a bias, coming from a biased point of view. Obviously, it's weird because it's like we've had Kevin Sinfield. Kevin Sinfield's gone and retired now. He ain't going to play for Leeds again. That's all that stuff. Is it one of those feelings, do you think, where we want a reincarnation of Sinfield somehow in this team? Do you think that could be a thing of it back of some fans' minds?
No, well, I think for some, yeah. I think for Jack, he'll want to prove it. We'll have the desire to be better than your dad. Everyone's got the desire to be better than your dad.
Yeah.
Like, or just make your dad proud. And I think he is making Kev proud, especially with the way he's playing now.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Castaway when we beat them 60-0 last year at their gaff, and there were a Resis game after, and Kev turned up and watched him. Didn't watch the first team. He came and watched Jack in the Resis. So Kev's very, very proud of it.
Oh no, I can imagine he is. Definitely gives it 100%. Does Jack? Very much similar to Kev, really. He has got that in him. He has got that professionalism in him. That he does a job and he does wear his heart on his sleeve. He does play, and he's just an hard worker. Obviously, you can see in that Wakefield game with Leeds, orchestrated that game. Fantastic. It's one of those. If I go back on that game briefly, just about Leeds, that I think if Leeds would have played better, I think Jack would have been overshadowed a little bit, because I think then Wakefield wouldn't have been as up there, if you know what I mean. But if you think of Jack in the Wakefield team going forward, I do think if Wakefield pick up form now, they do kick on. If they do, they've got Johnston back. They've got that little thing going on with Jowett, whether he's going to go back into the team or not. Lino, like you say, if he can somehow get into that team and stay there, we know he's a great goal kicker as well. You know, it could have a really good season. It could have a really good season, and I really hope he does.
Yeah, well, he's up there on the Man of Steel rankings, isn't he? At the minute, got a couple man of the matches. So yeah, but no, I hope for him he gets a lot of game time this year. But Wakey, he's not the big name. You've got Martin McMeekin, you've got Johnston, you've got Jowett, who's having to fight for his space. You've got Lino. He's not the name that is the first name on you when you think of Wakefield Trinity. So you know it's good when you think of Leeds Rhinos, whether you know the club or not. First name you think of is Sinfield, and then Burrow.
Yeah, no,
So
100%, yeah.
and then you're seeing Sinfield in the team sheet. He's going to have all that spotlight and all that speculation on him. So I think Wakefield's going to do him the world of good as long as he plays regular game time. Because he's at a point of his career where he's proven in Super League, but he's not proven consistently.
Yeah, we had Jordan Lilly on of a week of a podcast, and we I don't know if you've seen it, but we were talking about it, and he discussed how upset he was that he spent 9 seasons at Bradford, and then they decided not to take him to Super League, which I very much thought that's where Jack were going to go. And obviously, I know there's still time for that to happen, but I didn't want Jack to leave Leeds and play second fiddle somewhere else. I think if he left Leeds, I wanted him to be a starter. And
you want your 1 to 13 as your best 13 players.
Just moving on slightly, I wanted your thoughts, Ben, of obviously I know we're in Super League now with Challenge Cup's done now. We should look for his next game. Who's for at the moment in the season, which probably I might know the answer, but who's your 3 best players so far this season for Leeds?
Other than the obvious Mike Asiva.
Yeah, obviously he's going to be there.
I think I'm gonna throw a curveball here and go. Not necessarily. They've done something magic on the pitch, but I'm going to start with Chris Hankinson. I think what he's brought to the team, he's not 100 miles an hour at pace. He's not stacked with power.
Yeah.
But if you're playing him in your halves, at winger, at centre, at fullback, he'll do a job.
Yeah.
And the thing with Jank, you can't question his effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might not be as flashy as Jake Connor or as quick as Ash Hanley or as powerful as Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
Or as safe under the high ball as Lockie Miller. But he's reliable. And he's another goal kicker.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's pretty decent, to be fair.
He's got a left foot, so you can attack both sides. I know Brody's left-footed, but Brody's kicking isn't always as consistent. So you've got an extra kicker on that left because we've obviously got the 2 on the right with Miller and Connor. But having that on the left, it just gives us another point of attack. So Chris Hankinson.
Yeah, I'll be honest with Hankinson, mate. He's not one I thought you'd say out your top 3, but yeah, he has surprised me. I didn't quite know how he was going to fit in the team. I still do believe that having him on the bench is a weird one, considering where you play him. But it works. Whatever he's doing, whether he's bringing him on for Shanley or Newman if they're having a bit of a knock or whatever, it seems to work. But yeah, go on. Who's your third man, mate?
Number 2, I'd probably go with Danny Levi. Joining from Canberra, there's always question marks of players joining from the NRL, especially if they've had a bit of passing Super League. And with the speculation and the rumours, shall we say, we won't say if it's true or not about how he left Huddersfield. I was like, it was kind of similar to when Frawley joined, kind of similar to Connor, as in, is this gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Is it, there's always speculation, especially from an NRL signing.
Yeah.
But I think
putting himself in shot window.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andy Ackers was also made out of biscuits, especially last season.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he's doing bits at Bradford now, but he were made out of biscuits during his time at Leeds. And Jared O'Connor, as good as he is, isn't the best hooker.
No.
He's solid in defence, but
we needed a hooker, didn't we?
We needed a hooker that was the running threat, and O'Connor was never a running threat because.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But that's partly because Jared came through systems as a second row loose forward.
Yeah.
He was never a hooker, and he's only become a hooker since he signed professionally.
He probably didn't want to be a hooker, did he? He didn't really get the choice, by the sounds of it.
No. And then I'm going to tie these two together because you can't have one without the other. And it's Jenkins and Palacia. And whether that's having them as a pair through the middle or having them as part of a trio in your middles.
Yeah.
They're both this season. Palacia was always good, but Jenkins is matching that. And for me, Jenkins and Mick are my two starting props with Palacia at loose.
The thing with Palacia is he had trouble with discipline, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got a lot of bans, didn't he? And a lot of, I won't say a lot of bans, but he was always up there, wasn't he, with
the discipline record, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think with Palacia, it's both of them have just come on so much this year, and I think I can't fault either of them. Obviously, they both look tired against Cass. They both look tired against Wakey, but they've not really had the chance to have a break.
No,
because round one we had no Holroyd, we had no Mick, and then we've just got Holroyd back, and then only Mick's just come back recently. Like, we've not had a prop that can do the job, or a middle that could do the job of Palacia and Jenkins. So, because we've been playing like Nicholson Watton, we've been playing Littlewood. Jez Metalti has been in there in the mix once or twice. Like, we haven't had the experience, so they've been coming on sooner and not 100%. So
yeah, but I do believe. I don't know. Like I say, I don't know whether you agree or not, but I think we have got a weak benching props. I think the best ones we have are starting, which I do feel like we could put a couple on the bench or one on the bench and have that as a sort of like impact. I think if Cooper Jenkins come off the bench, I think he would be a lot bigger than Aledsky off the bench.
Go on, who have your three that have impressed you this year?
Well, for me, obviously, if I could name 10, I'd name 10. But for me, I think Cooper Jenkins is 100% one of them for me. I think I won't say he's underrated, but I don't think people expected him. Me too. I didn't expect him to be as an impact player as he is. I think he's fantastic. I really do. I think he carries ball really well. And, his meters in the games are just ridiculous. I think he's really a good, strong carrier. So for me, Cooper Jenkins is one. Obviously, Maker has got to be my second because I stressed about this. I don't know how far you've gone back, mate, and seen my videos, but I did when I announced the squad numbers for the year. I think it must have been around Christmas time. I stressed about it, saying Maker Civil were probably the player of the team that had to have a massive impact in the season. With obviously the injury he had, and look what's happened. So I don't think anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody who's come back from an ACL has had that impact from that injury and done what he's done. I know he broke record already with the most tries in many games. I don't think anyone else has done that in the Super League. So it's got to be make up for my second. And then my last one, I have to say George Brown. I mean, like I say, there's Daniel Levi's up there. Callum Watkins is there for me. I think he's done great since he's come back. Latchy Miller, obviously, is probably one of them. Jake Connor's obviously fantastic, as we know. But for me, George Brown, he's taking opportunities when he's had them. He was fantastic in the Widnes game. You know, I feel for him a little bit. He's probably on that situation of probably like Jack were on, where you know, Brody and Jake, are 6 and 7. We know that, and obviously that's kind of got to be it in the games. Excuse me, but when he's got his opportunities to take them, he takes them. And if you saw that tackle he did against Wakey when he took Johnson out in his defence, you know, for a standoff, who, let's be fair, you wouldn't have seen Danny Maguire do that. You know, to say how good Danny Maguire was, he didn't have that defensive about him.
No.
Obviously, with the team we had, he didn't need to be, obviously. But the tackle on Johnston just showed, I think the commentators mentioned it as well, that he's got that about his game as well as the attack side. I don't see him staying at Leeds, I'll be honest. I think he's a player that probably will excel at maybe a York or another team, maybe. I think that's probably where he'll excel. But for Leeds, I can't fault the guy. I think he's had a fantastic start when he's played.
I think, to be fair, obviously Brodie Croft's contract is up in the air at the minute. Yeah. Obviously, end of the season it expires. Mm-hmm. If we do lose Croft, I can see Brown obviously getting bumped up the squad numbers. I don't see him having 6.
Yeah.
But I see him getting bumped up, and I see him playing regularly if Croft leaves. Because
it's that question who goes there anyway. So.
Well, the thing is, we haven't got another halfback or another out-and-out halfback. Obviously, Hankinson can do a job there, and maybe you give him 6 and have him in a capacity like what Sutcliffe had 6 in, or Joel Moon had 6 in, where they're not a halfback, but we're going to have him off the bench and have George Brown playing without the pressure of having 6 at 19.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking.
I mean, could you imagine if, I know we kind of don't do this realistically because it's not football, but could you imagine if, say, this would have happened where Sinfield went on loan to Wakefield and Croft left and we brought Sinfield back and started at 6 with Croft next year? Like that could have been an idea. But like, obviously he's signed for Wakefield now.
I said earlier, didn't I, about how he didn't get sent out on loan to a champ team. But the only real times you see loans in rugby league are more as injury cover.
Yeah.
Like when we had Joe Greenwood. Joe Greenwood.
Oh yeah, Greenwood. Yeah.
Yeah, he came in on loan, and obviously he didn't play, but he was in as injury cover. Sent Matt Frawley to Huddersfield on loan as injury cover.
Yeah.
So loans do happen, but it's very, very rare, and it's normally at the back end of the season. But yeah, I'd love to see Jack back in blue and amber. I really would.
Yeah. No, I do, and like I say, I think if it were the case, it would have to be. I don't think he could come back and, like I say, play second fiddle. I think that'd be unfair to him. Not even to the name. I think just to the guy himself. I think he does well, enough for me. And yeah, it'd have to be a thing. Like I don't see it happening. I'll be honest, I don't. I think he's going to do really well at Wakefield, and whether he stays there or not, I think someone's going to snap him up and know what his worth is, and he's going to excel. I think he is, and I agree with what you said. I think he's in the limelight too much at Leeds, and I think he's expected maybe too much of just because of his name, and I think that'd affect him. I think he's going to do better now, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't go somewhere like Huddersfield or Castleford. No, I wouldn't be too bothered about him going to Wigan if he plays. It'd be like if he goes to Huddersfield or Castleford and gets given a 6 or a 7, It's like, hang on, you've gone from being obviously your second fiddle at Wakefield, but if anything happens, you are straight in. To being first choice at a struggling side, it is very much weighing up your options. What would you rather for your career? But
don't you find it funny how most of our Rhinos ex-players do go to either Cass or Wakefield or both? Like,
they don't want to move
it's a
house.
very Rhinos signing, isn't it, for a Wakefield to have one of his players?
They don't want to move house. That's why.
Yeah. He's very close in it.
Look at Alex Mellor. He went from Huddersfield to Leeds to Cass. Ashton Goldinger's done all three. Like they don't want to, because the housing market's so tight. That's why.
Yeah, no, it probably is. Yeah, probably is. Like say you go back to so far as like 2007, Lee Smith did it. Lee Smith went from Leeds to Wakefield. You know, it's with us. Jordan Tanzi did it. I don't know if you remember Jordan Tanzi. Jordan Tanzi went to Castleford, went to Wakefield.
Paul McShane did it.
Oh, Paul McShane. Paul McShane, Nick Scrutton. They did. Matt Diskin went to Bradford. You know, it's because
they don't want. It's because they don't want to move house. That's why. It's like Jordan Lilly went from Leeds to Bradford.
But then you've got someone like Sinfield though, who lives in Oldham.
Yeah, I know, but he still. I think he lives with his mum and dad still. I see him round because my grandparents live in Greenfield, which is Saddleworth, which is where Kev lives.
Yeah.
So I've seen Kev on the playing fields once or twice, doing kicking practice, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's memorable. That'd be great to see. Definitely. Yeah. So his next game is Hull FC. Is that at home?
It's away. FC at home's the last game of the season, so it's a trip to the Far East for the Rhinos next week.
How do you see that one going then?
FC are awful. FC can't win at home anyway. And I'm not jinxing us. Just touch wood. All that jazz. No commentators because I don't want this to age badly. But no, I can't see. I think Brad is going to absolutely rip him this week. I think we've obviously got Crofty back, which is good.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to shy away from saying how good Georgie Brown has been, because obviously that pass through your legs was phenomenal. Yeah. But I can't see. You don't want to give Brown too many minutes and almost not overstimulate him, but like frazzle him a little bit. So I think Croft will be back in, which will obviously be good because got the likes of Croft and Connor as a partnership. And then I think Keenan will go back to loose forward and Mick will start with Cam Smith dropping to the bench. But I do see Gary Metaltia or Ethan O'Neill coming into the team somewhere as well, maybe to give.
He needs to play more, doesn't he?
Because I think what we need to do is we almost need to swap with McDonald already leaving. I'd play Ethan O'Neill against FC because, you know, Ethan O'Neill's the signing for next season. Yeah. That's already bled into the team.
Same like with Cam Smith, though, wouldn't it, as well?
Yeah, like you can almost afford to not have. You can't not have Harry because we don't have a centre other than Hankinson.
Well, this is thing. What about this Bird? We haven't played him yet.
I don't. Jack Bird.
I've not seen out of him, mate, so I don't know.
I've not seen out of him. He's come over. He's 33 and has played a handful of NRL games.
So, but why is he here?
He's here. I think he's here more as cover because we thought Ash Hanley's injury was going to be bigger. We thought we obviously know that Sevo's made out of glass.
Yeah.
You've got McDonald.
We had last year. Do you remember when we signed that centre last year? That East Wood or something like that.
Oh, Clark Wood.
Clark Wood, yeah. It's very similar to that. You know, how many times did he play for us?
Clark Wood played once and got injured, like tore his Achilles.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know he got injured. I thought he just
Yeah,
didn't get
he tore
played.
his Achilles, and then he was trying to get back in at centre winger when Edgel, Lum, Hall, Hankinson, Newman, and Hanley
Breaking through.
were all scoring for fun. So
Yeah.
he was never going to get back into the team. I think he played 5 minutes of a reserves game and tore his Achilles. So,
All right. Okay.
but
Quick one with
Bird, I
this one.
think. Go on.
Sorry, mate. Go on. Go on.
I was going to say about Jack Bird, and I think he's still got to. He's got to earn his place into the team, and
Mm.
he's only here on a short-term deal. He's not here on a long-term deal, I don't think. So
Right. Okay. No,
I
that's
don't
fine.
think we'll see much of him unless he
What,
can get himself in.
quick one on Harry Newman. So, obviously, Harry Newman's going into the season. Where do you see us going with this? Like, do you see us sticking Riley Lum, Edgel in at centre?
No,
Because I know it can work.
I don't
What do
see
you,
either
what
of
do you
them
think?
playing centre. I don't see
What
either
do
of
you
them
see
playing
happening?
centre. I can also see Riley Lum leaving at the end of the season
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
don't think Brad likes him much from what I've gathered. I
Okay.
think, and from actually seeing him in person in town, Riley's very much I play for Leeds Rhinos, worship me sort of person.
All right. Okay.
And I'm not going to do any slander or defamation of character or anything, but when I seen him in town, it was like because I was working at one of the bars on Cole Lane, and he came in, and it was like I was obviously, oh, that's Riley Lum. He's like, yeah, I am. He was very dismissive, whereas Alfie is more of a student of the game. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
a student of Leeds Beckett, but
Yeah.
no, I can see Riley leaving at the end of the year. I think with Harry, I think we need to go and get a centre. I do think we need to get because Max Simpson is made out
Yeah.
of glass.
I know. I feel so sick for lad.
I feel sorry for him, but you can't. It's part of the risk of playing rugby, isn't it? Like
Oh yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
It's the rough with the smooth. I
He's going to
think,
be one of those players for me that is yet another Stevie Ward. He's not going to ever get to his full potential because he's too much on frigging operating table.
yeah, and I can see him going out, and I think we've got to go out and get a new centre because I don't know
Would you
who's
say
available.
NRL, Super League?
NRL,
Is
I'd
it
love Herbie. I'd love Herbie.
Herbie? I think he'd be too much in one. I don't think he'd come with our salary.
No, I don't think he would. There's a rumour that Shibasaki at Brisbane's out of contract at the end of the year. But again, probably it all depends on who leaves. Because obviously we've lost three English players. So I think we've maxed out our overseas capacity at the minute.
Hmm.
So if I was going for an English centre, I'd love Herbie. I really would.
I mean, the thing is, right, when you look, obviously, I know this isn't the team for all the time, whatever. That it changes obviously, but this lineup that I put up here, when you actually look down and you think Alachi Miller, Maker Sivo, Cooper Jenkins, Danny Levi, Keenan Palacia, McDonald. You think of all them just going back home, right? Brodie Croft as well. Just think for a second that happens. Where does that kind of leave us? That's kind of a worry for me. And I do very much like to buy players that are already Super League sort of in there because I think that's where you get your better players. Like
Yeah, definitely.
look at Jake Connor. He's
Definitely.
all he's known is Super League and he's consistent.
Because obviously we've got one of the McCormacks and Simpson in the ranks.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ready to be given 3. Because as I said,
I did like McCormack at Widnes game. I won't lie. I did think that McCormack played well.
Yeah, they play well, but you can't just throw them at 3 and be like, here you go, play.
I think the thing is,
For
though,
me.
when you actually look at the history of Rhinos, if you think of the last two people who were number 3 at Rhinos, they all come through academy, and look at what career they had.
Yeah, Newman
So
and Watkins.
It's not ridiculous to throw
No,
someone in there at risk.
it's not. But Newman got it. When did Watkins first leave? It was quite a while, actually. Was it? It was same year as. It was the year after Hall, so it was 19. So Newman got 3 and 20, but obviously a lot of that was missed through COVID.
Yeah.
21, he got really badly injured and missed a lot of that. 22, he got injured and missed a lot of that. He's only been consistent since 23, so for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's another way of looking at it. He had 3, but he wasn't wearing it because he wasn't playing.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I think, but I do think we need to go out and buy a big centre and actually go and marquee a centre, because Hall I think is retiring at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we've got a centre. So we've got Cam Smith, James McDonald, Harry Newman, Ryan Hall, and then question marks over Brodie Croft as well. And then Perth are sniffing around Mikulecki and Jared O'Connor. But both of them have turned Perth down, I believe.
Yeah. I think they're going to try again for a Ledsky by sounds of it, but I don't know whether that's.
I think Ledsky will shut it down again. I can't see a Ledsky, especially after playing in the Ashes. Ledsky got bullied by the forwards. All the forwards got bullied, other than Callum Watkins and Kai Pearce-Paul. But no, I do think that we're definitely losing Smith, McDonald, Harry, Hall, and then there's question marks over Croft, as I say. But I think we need to go out and get a replacement for Harry. And I think you give Edgell number 5 if Hall retires.
Yeah. No. I totally get what you're saying there, and I'd be fine with that. I think we are having a discussion though of the Rhinos team could look a lot different next year. Maybe even some people signing for different clubs that we didn't expect. You know what I mean? Like Maker Sivo for me. I think he's 32, 33. That's not a ridiculous thing for him to either go back home or retire even. Who knows?
I think with Sivo, his injury record, no one will want him. No one will want him because of his injury record and the money he's on.
Yeah.
So if he wants to go anywhere, he'd retire. I think, because he's got the try scoring record, which is phenomenal, everything. But he's made out of glass.
Yeah. He's probably one bad injury though, isn't it, from being out again? Like that is a worry for me. Like when obviously, as you know, when someone's done an ACL, I don't know whether it's weird. It's weird. I know it's kind of weird to say it how I'm going to say it, but like if you think of like an MOT for the car, like I feel like because he's had an ACL, does it make some of attendance weaker because of etc. Like does it make because you've sorted his leg out or whatever? Is something else going to go around that sort of area? Is it a thing of because he's had an ACL, it's easier to be injured again?
He's a professional athlete. Obviously it's an area of weakness.
Yeah.
But Jared O'Connor did his knee pre-season. Was it pre-season or last year? And he's not been knocked. Oh no, Harry Newman had that horrific leg break. Yes, it's an area of weakness, but Ash Hanley did his groin at the start of the season, but he's been managed through it. I think with the way that sports science and sport technology is, they don't risk a lot in terms of player welfare. And player welfare across both codes of rugby and football and cricket nowadays you look back 5 years and it's a completely different sport to what it was.
Yeah. No, it is. It is.
And that's not just player welfare with head injuries. That's player welfare with off the pitch stuff, with managing your game time, managing your loads. Like, hence George Brown not playing every week, partially because Croft is back fit. But Brown is 18. You need to manage him, otherwise he'll burn out.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
He's
player welfare is the paramount with it all. So if Sivo was to get injured, it wouldn't be anything of the fault of S&C. It'll be because of he's fallen awkwardly in a tackle. He's gone to fly kick someone's head off again. You know, it's not because he's gone out there and been like, I'm XYZ, I'm Make a Sivo. I'm unstoppable. You can't stop me scoring. He's got injured because he's doing his job. He's been doing his job, and rugby, whichever code you look at it, whether it's 15 aside or 13 aside, it's 15 aside or 13 aside. Big men running at 100 miles an hour at each other for 80 minutes. There's bound to be injuries.
Oh yeah. And you don't go out there to get an injury, do you? So it's you give it 100%, and whatever happens, doesn't it? Like say, Harry Newman breaking his leg. You know, it's not something you expected. It's not something you go into a game thinking. You go into a game 100%, and you know you want to be fully fit when you finish, don't you? It's that's how it is, isn't it? So, obviously we hope Mako does carry on like he is, and you know we carry on like we are. We've got a good team. We know we've seen how good we can play. Hopefully that'll carry on for the season. So taken a lot of your time tonight, Ben. So
no worries, man.
So I'll cut short now. So obviously we had Ben on tonight as a guest. So we go again for the Hull game, which obviously fingers crossed we get some bodies back. But we're not far off full strength team as you'd probably agree anyway. So I will see you on the game of after the game of Hull FC, and hopefully we will get Ben back on and see how things are. So, cheers for your time, Ben.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Thoroughly loved it, and hopefully you can have me back again if that's no issue.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, cheers, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you.